welcome to the Cerestra Partnership's first fireside chat with Mr. SP Reddy. And very quickly, I'm Vishal Goel. I'm one of the co-founders of Cerestra. And Cerestra is a private equity fund investing into real estate alternative assets like education and life sciences. And today we have a very special guest, Mr. SP Reddy. I will talk a little bit about him, and he will also share about his remarkable journey over the last many years. And one of the things why I'm very honored for him to be our first guest in the fireside chat is something very emotional and very personal. I have known Mr. Reddy for more than 10 years, but over the last 6 months, I have been given an opportunity to spend few days traveling with him. And the amount of work he has been doing for COVID patients and handling their relatives, handling and helping them is truly remarkable. I think a lot of successful businessmen do exist in this country, but businessmen with such heart and such emotions, and the way Mr. Reddy has been helping everybody who has been coming to seek help, morning at 6 o'clock, night at 12 a.m. He has been there with them, trying to give them emotional, medical, sometimes financial support. So I think on behalf of all of us who are here, thank you, Mr. Reddy, because in these times, I think we need a lot of people like you who provide such support in these very, very difficult times. Mr. Reddy needs no introduction to all of us. He's a very famous personality in Hyderabad. He has built iconic buildings. He has also the other part of businesses which we don't know. He's a serial entrepreneur in India, in US, and he is also doing a lot of startup activity. Without further ado, I will request a small video from on Mr. Reddy to know the man and get started with this meeting. Shivani, can you play the video, please?
For the past 15 years or so, and I got an opportunity to work with him very closely over the past decade or so. It's been a great experience working with him. We come across a lot of people who are passionate about their work, but in his case, yes, he is passionate, and what I personally feel is his passion is driven by a childlike enthusiasm and youthful energy.
Been knowing all through for more than about 50 years now. Difficult to encapsulate what Prabhakar is in about 30 seconds or a minute or even a couple of minutes. At a personal level, he's been a great friend, not only to me, but to a lot of my other classmates. He's also been a great help. A lot of startups in various sectors, not just IT. And help them by being an angel investor and making them grow.
I've known SP for about a decade and been his neighbor as well. Just a few words about SP. SP is a family man. He's a very dedicated and a committed family man. a doting husband and a doting father. Many times you see him after a hard day's work, coming home and pampering his kids, pulling up sleeves and entering the kitchen, making omelets, and pasta, so on and so forth. You've been us and you have supported us. You have supported us in many different ways, including helping find people who could help us with the business, getting us, or incubating us in your facility, helping my employees deal with COVID situations and such. People like you are so rare to find. Prashant and I had to start F-Jones Consulting, to start a company under some compelling circumstances. We did not have anything at the time except the idea and belief in ourselves. We went to SP and we talked about the circumstances. SP was, I remember SP was scheduled to go to US for 3-4 weeks that evening. He called his assistant in his office and informed that give some space, arrange some space for these guys. They would start a company. And SP has been a great force behind the success of F-Jones Consulting.
Prabhakar, I see him to be a very dynamic, forward-thinking individual, identifying the business opportunities and taking the risk to invest in them. As an individual, Prabhakar is a very helpful person, but it is his nature. He's constantly willing to help other business folks, to guide them in the business, also fund for non-profit organizations, community service and so forth.
Great philanthropist. He said, man of dynamism. He always, when you be around him, there's a positive vibes with him. He always talks to youngsters to get a lot of inspiration from him. So he said, when you do the business, it means a business. We should learn few things from him. I mean, it's a great personality.
In real sense, people should have seen him in action during COVID time, where he has helped hundreds and thousands of people for getting beds, for getting oxygen cylinder, for getting ventilators. A lot of people will talk about how SP is successful as a businessman, how SP is successful as a real estate professional. Making wealth is good, but that's not the primary aim of people. The primary aim of people like you and me should be to help those who need it. And SP is one of the very few people I know who goes out of the way to help people.
I've known him for over, since my childhood. He has extremely strong organization skills, including either in his business or in his community. He's a very, hardworking person. I've never seen anybody as hardworking as SP. And above all, he's a perfectionist. Any organization that he goes or a board member, he brings in the structure to the organization and either accounting or operations. He's one of the best that I've known.
Volant is a fast-growing paper and consumer product company, growing at 20% a month, and it is valued at 500 crores in the private equity market now. All this growth has been possible within last 8 years with the support and strong mentoring from well-wishers like Mr. Prabhakar Reddy, our so-called Mr. SP Reddy.
Thank you for everybody who has contributed to this video. And I think whatever words have been captured in this video do not do justice to Mr. Reddy's contribution and what he has been doing over the last 18 months in his fight with COVID. Before I give give it to him, I just want to say 25 years Not Out is a ode to celebrate his one of his ventures in the US, which is very successful, which I'm sure he will talk about. It has completed 25 years, and in technology world, a company completing 25 years successfully, it's itself a very remarkable achievement. Congratulations, sir. And he also, the reason why I say 25 Not Out, many of you may not know his love for cricket, and he is a cricket player, and he participates in a different form of cricket, competitive cricket even now. So over to you, sir. We are all eager to listen to you, and completely, all ears for the next 30 minutes. Looking to hear from you.
Thank you, Vishal. Thanks for hosting this event. I could not find a better platform than this. I've known you for a while, and you are a very interesting character also. You're very engaged, you have accomplished a lot of stuff, and you also do multiple things. I hope one day I will host this fire chat with you, and you will be on the other side, and I will be on this side of the aisle. But anyway, good evening, everybody. And for all those people who have dialed in to listen to my story, some of you probably know it. And Vishal convinced me to do this. I was a little hesitant in the beginning, but I thank each and every one, my friends, my colleagues across the globe who have said some nice, kind words about me and my personality. So brief history about me is basically, my life journey, born in a middle-class family here in Hyderabad, educated in a good school, St. Paul's, then did my engineering in Mysore in 1985. That's where I met my wife, my better half. And then went to US in 86. It was an interesting conversation I had with my father before I left, because I really didn't want to go to US. I wanted to be in politics. So I was part of Youth Congress. I was part of Maneka Gandhi's party for a while. And my father one day pulled me over a drink, and he was drinking, I was watching, and he just said, politics is not for us. We are not financially that well. You have to leave. You have to go. So I wrote my GRE at those days and TOEFL, and then got my admission into Masters in Computer Science. I took 30% stake in that venture, and I had 3 women to deal with, and I was a 4th partner. So I lost quite a bit of my hair during those days, dealing in business on a lighter side. But it was a very interesting journey. It taught me a lot. But while in my college, the way most of the Indian students, when we go there, is to do odd jobs. My first job was at Kentucky Fried Chicken. So I was given a book and a script how to make chicken. So I didn't know that you had to do that. Way back in India, we didn't have any book or a script to make chicken curry or fried chicken. So it was a very interesting journey. At the end of my first day of job, I was clocking out. My manager said, "Where are you going?" So I said, "I'm going home. I'm done with work." He said, "No, you have to wash dishes." So that was the toughest part. So washing dishes, I could remember my Lakshmama, my Ramlama, my servants back home. So after that, after finishing my paid through college, all this hardworking jobs that I did, and the best job ever I had in those 3 years, 2.5 years in college, was a waiter job. I learned a lot of stuff. Being patient was one of the most important things I've learned in my life. So I graduated successfully from Alabama A&M. My wife was still in second, third year. So we moved to Augusta, Georgia. And the way I got the job was through a contact. My high school, my brother's friend dropped in at our house, and then he said, "There's a job available in Augusta. You please contact so-and-so." I contacted so-and-so, and I attended an interview in person, but I never got a call from them for the second interview, and I was desperate for a job because I have to pay fees for my wife's school. And so I kind of waited for about 8-9 days. I called the chairman of the Department of Computer Science in Payne College. And I said, look, ma'am, I was actually 350 miles apart. I was in Huntsville, and Payne College in Augusta is about 350 miles east of Atlanta. I told her, look, I am going to South Carolina, by the way, passing through Augusta. And I just like to drop in and just talk to you. And interestingly, and I never thought she would say, oh, come over. And she did. And I was 350 miles. I just packed my bag and I left. I went and it's an overnight journey. I went to Augusta, attended the interview, and she said, let's meet the dean of the college. But before entering into the dean's room, she said the dean likes Indian food. So that's it. That was my selling. So I went in and spoke to him briefly, and then he asked me where I'm from. And then I started talking about tandoori chicken, chicken curry, biryanis of the world. So I kind of impressed him. So there was not much of an interview with him. It was more of an introduction. And he said, you're hired. So that was my first job. And there's a large Indian community with no Indian grocery stores. I helped put a grocery store with a mere $6,000. I didn't have that money, but a friend of mine whose son came to Augusta for a college, he had some semester's money, which he had to pay for next semester. I took his money and paid the $3,000 down payment. And then I started, working there in the afternoons, packing grains, 5 pounds, pulses, dal, chawal, everything, so those are the things that I did. I came across a lot of Indian community, very wealthy Indian community people. And one gentleman by name T.R. Reddy was very instrumental in where I am today. He said, why don't you join us? We buy hotels. So that's where I started. So I used to drive all around nearby places, identifying lands and investing in hotels. So my first hotel project was in 1992 in Spartanburg, right across the BMW plant. So from there, I moved into corporate America got my first job in corporate America in 1992. I was hired as a senior systems analyst by a company called DynCorp, which was a large company with a lot of presence in the Department of Defense and public sectors, especially in the federal space. Now, I was hired to develop one of the world's largest real estate management information systems. So we started there, our journey there, and implemented the entire system across the globe, wherever the US interest was in terms of real estate. 1995, I said, let me start a consulting firm within the same space. And basically my boss, who was a client, who was a journal at that time, he said, no, you cannot leave because we are at a very important juncture of this project. So I said, look, I'm starting my own company. And he said, okay, no problem. So what does it take for you to stay back? I said, well, give me this contract. So I ended up getting that work, which was about $1.2, $1.3 million a year contract. That was, of course, I was a subcontract to somebody. So that's how I started my Ingenious journey. Ingenious was a very interesting event, interesting journey. We used to do a lot of work, mostly in the body shop area, bring folks from India, place them at different clients. For some reason, I didn't like it. In 2000, I started a company called HSupply.com, which was in an e-commerce portal. It was an exchange, digital exchange for buying and selling hospitality products. Raised $18 million, burned $18 million in 18 months, or less than 2 years. And I ended up buying the old furniture back to my company. So that was a very hard, tough lesson. So I was kind of, a mandatory 1-week depression after I shut down that company. Then I said, what should I do with Ingenious? So I said, look, I need to focus into a space where it is stable and gives me consistent growth and also good profitability, and the client pays well. So obviously, my foot was already in some of the federal space contracts. So I started focusing on that, started building team, started building expertise. So I started bringing people who knew how to navigate procurement, navigate the federal space. So that's how I started. My first job, which I got, was my own project that I did. The government believed in me and gave me that project. So it was an excellent experience. So I successfully deployed the project. But there were many ups and downs. I've learned a lot of stuff during those years. One of the things I did is, I got very politically involved within the Atlanta area, raising money for senators, congressmen, local judges, sheriffs elections, because I felt that, being involved politically in a country like that was very critical to get things done in a legal fashion, show the strength of our Indian community, build a bilateral relationship between Indian community as well as the community down there. So in that process, I became very popular within the Atlanta community area. So any fundraising, whether it's a Republican or a Democrat, they used to call me, and I used to generously donate a lot of money. Raised a lot of money for several candidates. So all of that helped me in some way or the other when I had to get some work done in terms of things were not moving in the federal space. I used to call my senator's office, and I used to get things done much faster than many of us could do. And that's very important for us even today in a society that we live in, even in India. We have to be very involved politically, socially, bureaucratically, and do the good things. And I'm sure many of you do it, but for the youngsters, I always tell that never stay away from politics. I think we have to be involved in that pipeline. So with that, then in 2005, my father passed away. 2006. I just came to India for a visit. In a blink of an eye, I just decided, me and my wife, to move back to India. So 2007 is when I moved with my two little children, Vinay, 7, and Sahana, she was 5 years old. It was not a difficult transition at all. Most of the NRIs moving from US find it difficult to settle in India, but we never had that issue because we had a good family support system. We were socially rich. We had a lot of friends. So we settled down, and then I built my first project, which was SLN Terminus, first mixed-use project, most of you know. It's a project which includes retail, office, and Marriott executive apartments. And several friends of mine who helped me understand the market. And one of them, I would say, is Mr. Sandeep Patnaik, who is who's part of JLL, and then my very good friend and my mentor and my advisor, Mr. Dhananjay. They were one who actually helped me navigate, how do you get bank loans? How do you structure the loans? I never had to do that in US. I used to call my banker and they had my credit report, they had my financials, my tax returns, that's it. But here it was a different ball game, and it was a beast to me. At some point, I felt that I'm naked, with no support. But these guys always kept me motivating, kept me moving. One thing I learned in India is, don't expect to get things done, but things will get done. Okay, it's a matter of time, but one has to have patience. That I learned a lot from my advisor, Mr. Dhananjay, and also people like Sandeep. So that was very interesting journey during the 2007 to 2000. So 2011, I started this company called Terminus Group. And while I was doing this, I was running Ingenious parallelly in US, and we were growing very good at 20-30% a year. The growth was good. Our footprint was getting expanded. But interestingly, in 2014-15, obviously not being there, I feel that it has impacted the business, and the business went down almost 60%. But I had to turn that business around. and I started pumping in money back. And my ingenious company was started with mere $900. Okay, and then I built up to $20-25 million over the next 10, 12 years. And then when I saw the business going down, many people advised me to shut the business, including my own family. But I saw my key people, my president, my CFO, my business development people were working very hard. We were hitting home runs. In cricket, you call it, we were really hitting base hits. In cricket, we call it as singles. We were not hitting sixers or fours. So I believed in them, and I said, okay, look, I'll invest next 2 years. I ended up investing about close to $2 million, which I never thought I would invest. But it was one of the toughest challenges because I didn't have any much liquidity, so I had to dilute a lot of my own assets, both here in India as well as US, to pump in. So that actually helped my people understand that they knew that I was there. I was going to take care of them. I was going to not leave them dry, not shut the door one fine day and then go home. Even I did that, I would have made quite a bit of money even when I closed it, because I had good chunk of receivables and minus payables, I was still take home quite a bit of money. But I didn't do that. So that showed a lot of my commitment to my senior management and also my people at the lower level. So they believed in me and I believed in this story, but then we hit a home run. So I finally it was a moment. It was a moment. I always say that, you know, when Rahul Dravid and VVS Lakshman played cricket and won that great match of chasing a huge score of 380 or something partnership. So they were taking singles now and then, but there was a right moment at the right outside the off stump pitch or a full toss, they hit a 6 or a 4. So that's what happened to me with Ingenious in 2018. And then I call it as a hockey stick curve because we were top on the top, we came down, then we came up the curve. So, and never looking back. So today Ingenious is celebrating 25 years with 30 locations. We have our people working across United States, and we have people in 5 different locations across the world. We call it as our presence is both in corners and O-corners. When you say corners, it is continental United States. O-corners is outside continental United States. We do a lot of interesting work, which I cannot talk on this platform because those works are very confidential and very at a high level. So while doing Ingenious, you know, I was also parallelly running projects in India. So interesting projects. As I said, I delivered in a record time the project here in SLN Terminus. Then I built a good high-end gated community in partnership with a friend of mine, successfully delivered that. It is actually one of the best gated communities. Then I just delivered another 1.4 million square foot of office space, leased it pre-COVID and held on to that lease to a multinational company. And they are actually very happy that we have delivered that project. So I continue to grow the real estate business, but I also felt that in India, especially I've also grown socially, you know, knowing people like Vishal, Sandeep, Milan, you know, Dhananjay, so hundreds of people. But what I missed in India, in US, I used to play cricket in the early days of 87, 89 in Augusta, Georgia. That's how I became very popular because I hit pretty good scores and bowled pretty well. So then we formed a league of 5-city league, and then I used to go play across those cities in Chicago and win the tournament for our teams. So that's where I started. Then there was no cricket. Then when I came to India, I said, man, I want to start playing cricket. So I started playing cricket with my community friends. Then we created inter-community cricket tournament. Then a friend of mine, Agam Rao, who is a big cricket fan, he said, SP, you need to play. There's a team. It's called, they play 50-plus tournaments. So 50 years and above, you know, are qualified to play this, and they go play across the world. So I started playing that, and I went to New Zealand and played a tournament from all the nations. I mean, all the cricketing nations, anybody above 50 used to come and participate. Very interesting. The average age of an Indian cricket team above 50 was about 62 years old. We played against Australia, which was about 64 years old, 74 years old. So cricket is passion. Then I play volleyball. Then I play. There's not a game that I don't play. I play cricket. I play inter-community soccer matches. I played volleyball. I play shuttle now, which is my game. Every day I play about for an hour and a half within our community. I have great fun. I keep youngsters on their toes. I keep teasing them. I keep betting against them. In fact, last night I bet against the team. In fact, I didn't. I mean, the guy playing against me said, today let's bet for a 6-pack beer. I said 6-pack plus six cases of shuttlecocks. So I won the first game. So I won both of them. In the second match, I lost the 6-pack beer. So that's what I keep making. I make interesting when I play the games in cricket or volleyball. So why is sports important for anybody in life? And to me, it's very, very important because this is the only game which teaches you to lose. Okay, it teaches you to lose and it lets you go back and play. Okay, so it's a collaborative game. Okay, so is life. I don't think you can ever live a life without a collaborative efforts, without meeting people, without exchanging your views with people, without you have to understand people, where they are from, what they are from, what you want to do for them. So one of the things that even here I've kind of participated in several social activities, several nonprofits, fund them in whether it may be children's cancer or a Spurge, which is a hospice, education for kids, my driver's kids. So I just wanted to, I kind of put a plan together, and in my own company is to take care of them. I just tell them, look, I will give you the financial stability, you stay with me. I mean, so what is the growth for an office boy who gives me a tea? There's nothing. I mean, this guy would be giving tea throughout his life. If not my office, then he'll go to someone else's office. That's what he would be doing. But I just kind of gave them the financial stability and helped them fund their school, kids' education, their housing. I built them houses. I gave them apartments. So same thing with my drivers. I mean, what is this promotion? What is this next promotion? Today he must be driving, tomorrow he'll drive Mercedes-Benz, then he'll drive Range Rover. So that's his promotion. So, but he would not grow vertically, he will not grow vertically. That's a difference. So I just wanted to make sure that people in all those areas, people who cannot grow financially, I wanted to create financial stability to them. And if they stick to me, and I did that, and I've shared those stories to many of you who have dialed in here. That is most satisfactory to me. Yesterday, I attended my mate's daughter's wedding. It was so interesting. They were so emotionally charged. Me and my wife came. My wife took care of all the expenses. So and the girl is educated. The boy is educated. He's a network engineer in Franklin Templeton. This girl works for another IT company. So at least my maid's kids are not going to be maids again, in the next generation. So that's what I wanted to see is that my driver's kids I don't want them to be drivers again. So those are the things. These are all the things that, I take pride in doing because I learned all this stuff from my father. My father was like this. And so that was my journey, and a lot of things, that I do. As Vishal said, last 18 months was very tough. It's extremely tough. In fact, Vishal, I think it was on April 10th, we both traveled to Tirupati, myself, him, and his colleague, right through the journey, through the Tirumala and coming back. Nights, 11, 12, morning, 6 o'clock, he could listen to me talking to people, asking for beds, asking for ventilators, asking for ICU beds. One of my first investments when I moved to India in 2007, in 2009, I invested in healthcare in Sunshine Hospital, and then Asian Institute of Nephrology, Urology. Then I became a part of AAG. So through this network, though I exited both the hospitals with good returns, okay, I'm happy that I made it, but it made me work. I felt that, but during those, when it gave my returns, 10x, whatever returns I got, but after I took my returns, I got to work the next 18 months after I exited one of the hospitals between COVID situation. So we lost some people who were dear to us. I pray for all their souls. There were almost 12 people, who could not make it. I mean, we did so many things. I'm sure you saw the headlines. There were 103 or 100 people airlifted from different parts of the country to Hyderabad, and my contribution there was about 3 people too. Okay, and a couple of them didn't make it. So we lost very good friends of mine, who I've known, I've done business with. But this has touched everybody's heart. I mean, the second wave was very detrimental. So those are the things that I learned over the years as an entrepreneur. Never persistence. You have to have the persuasion, persistence. Never lose the sight. Have the focus. I have diverse of interests. As I'm in education sector, thanks to Vishal. I got involved with schools. I sit on the board of one of his schools, and also getting ready to get onto another school board. I'm on healthcare, then I'm into the manufacturing and a startup company which Srikant Bolla has created, an astonishing enterprise. Then I've also incubated 3 technology companies who came to me, wanted with an idea, and I believed in their idea. We funded them and gave them incubation space. And they're all now global players. So I take pride in advising them in right from getting an appointment with passport appointment to police clearance to beds in this thing for a vaccination. So now a lot of people call me for vaccination. So when Vishal challenged me, sir, you please get 500 doses. I really want you to take part in it. I have my people. So we arranged it and we gave it 2 weeks back on a Sunday from morning 9 to 5. So now I'm getting more demands from communities for vaccination. So I kind of, enjoy doing that. So I'm a multitasker. Not everyone can do that, but I did that. And sports is a big part of my life. I just cannot go for a walking or a treadmilling. Sports has to be there for me every day. If I don't play 2 days, I get crazy. I'm having too much of fun with my shuttle team in my community, which I started right around the COVID time when there was nothing. I was still going to Legend Chimes, which was about 5-6 kilometers away from my house, to go play volleyball every day. So I started playing here, and we have great fun. We have pets every now and then. So that's my journey. And one of the things I would say is, though we have this first, second wave tough times, I strongly feel that India will rule the next decade. I think I will bet on India. Okay, so what we saw in 2006, what China was, India is there today. So that's is very important to note. And during the Q&A, I'm sure some of you ask me, and I'll tell where my bet are going to be. So I bet, those bets I would say will never go wrong. For all the entrepreneurs or all the kids who want to be an entrepreneurs, this is a great country to be in. And thanks to Vishal, I've expanded my vertical into pharma. so he has taken me and opened a new world. I never thought, Genome Valley, which is India's one of the largest biotech area, which makes close to 60% of the vaccines, global vaccines are manufactured there. So it was a very eye-opening to me. Close to 60 billion, if I'm right, 60 or 70 billion dollars worth of companies are right there, right in our backyard. So there are several. That's another sector that I've now started focusing with a new company called Terminus Life Sciences. So with that, I end my journey. Okay, it was short. So I captured everything within 30 minutes. So I'm glad I did that. So let's open up and let's talk. Have a very frank talk, right? And I'll shoot it straight. How Virendra Sehwag did a few years back.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And it was a great, open-hearted conversation. And I think now I understand why people call investors angel investors. When I hear you, when I interact with you, one can give money, but the type of support which entrepreneurs today need is beyond money. And I think they need angels like you to support them, as you rightly said, right from a police permission to a visa. And I think, given the technology limitations, I have to be asking questions on behalf of everybody else. And what I would do is, before asking my questions, I would ask few of the questions which have already been posted. And then, I will bother you back. I think first question from Pooja. She's one of, she works with Cerestra with us, and she's a young lawyer. Is that what are the three things which today you feel you would have liked to do differently? What are the three things, if you get a chance, would like to change or do it differently?
Today, what I would do if I was, as young as 30 years old, my philosophy, even when I started earning, I told my wife is, we have two jobs, you have a job, I have a job. I'll invest everything, what I earn in real estate or stock market, whatever it is. So I told her, we have to make a living with one's job. If I lose a job, at least on your job, we should be able to live. When we bought our first house also, we said the same thing. So then I said, look, between now and the age of 40, I will invest. If I invest $100, I lose $100, I have no problem. But when I reached 40 and 45, 50, I said, look, if I invest $100, at least $70, I don't mind losing $50 or $30. And when I reached about 50, 55, I said, look, if I invest $100, I will like to make 101 or 110 and get a decent return, because I don't have time to make the money that I can make if I've lost it when I was young. So one of the things that I would do is very carefully is to look into the entrepreneur world. Okay, India has now created a huge platform, an ecosystem. We never had that during 80s and the 90s. So I would look at entrepreneurs, whether you're an attorney, whether you are a carpenter, or whether you are a fabricator. We have to innovate things and think out of the box. Okay, so those are some of the things that I would do, because we never had that liberty in those days. We learned it as we went. So now you have an young entrepreneur can risk, can risk his, I wouldn't say risk your entire wealth, okay, but I would say that you could risk your time, because age is on your side. As you grow, the age won't be on your side. So this is the time for you to risk and do things differently. So you can pick and choose. You don't have to be that diverse. I'm too diverse. And luckily things worked out for me, and some things didn't work out for me. So I would put where your heart is, whether it, so sports entertainment, So I would divide my life into three compartments. One is in the investment compartment, one investment entrepreneur, one in a family compartment, and one is in sports. So these are the things that I would do differently, if I had to start today.
Thank you, sir. Questions are pouring in, so I will continue to take the audience question first because I want to be fair to them. Next question is, he has not shared the name, but he has asked me, how does having children impact the business and your business plans and your life as a businessman?
Very interesting. I had my first kid after 12 or 14 years. We never thought we will have kids, but we had it. But did it change? Yes, it changed. It changed. It brought a lot of happiness. You will start now feeling complete when you start having kids. Wife, then kids. 1, 2 kids. Then after you're finishing having 2 kids, then you feel your life is complete. Then you get busy with work. I was very busy. I was traveling, and sometimes I felt that I shouldn't do it. So I scaled back, spent a lot of time, try to understand. Even today, I felt that, I could have spent more time with my kids. But with whatever I did, all of them turned out to be good. So they're doing good. So having children is very, very critical, very important. It's a stress reliever, and then getting a dog is also another critical part in your life. So to me, children are very important in life.
The next question is from Mr. Sudhakar Reddy. What bothers you in life today, and what makes you motivate you, and what makes you wake up early every day of your life?
What bothers me most in today is people have become selfish. People are not that giving. Ethical standards have fallen down in most parts of the world. What bothers me is lack of commitment, even with people work for you, work under you. So those ethical standards that we grew up in have faded away over a period of time. So what motivates me is, every morning I get up and I say, okay, what did I do yesterday? What should I do today? So the life lesson for me is every day I go to work thinking that I have to make an impact on someone else's life, positively. I'll tell you a story of a very hardworking artist. When I was building a villa community, he came to me and said, sir, this is out of our budget, but I'm giving you this money. I'm kind of 30% more than what my budget is, but I like the way you're building, the commitment. And his wife held my hand and said, sir, please, this is our lifetime savings. We don't have much money, but please make sure you deliver this project. I mean, I literally had tears in my eyes, and he's now lives in that community very happily. What touched me in her words was because we were all as investors were living in a world where developers were not delivering their product. People were taking bank loans, but they could never see the end of the light. So in every week's meeting with my project managers, I used to say, look, this woman has put her faith and her life savings in her hand. So it's our responsibility to have some financial discipline and deliver the product to her so that she will not regret. I want her to move there. She had only one child. So these are the things, I look for. When I take your money, I want to ensure that I deliver, the product to you, whether my customer pays or not, at least, that makes me sleep well. So that's what I do.
Thank you, sir. I'll continue with my questions, and more interesting questions are coming in. So I hope we have time and patience that you can keep answering them. A very interesting question, which I think everybody looks forward, from Mr. Srinath Rao. When do you plan to retire?
I know I keep, when I get tired in the evening, some days, I tell my friends, man, I want to retire. They say, SP, there's no way you retire. When people like Srinath Rao and you guys are around, I cannot retire because you keep calling me for something or the other. So I have to be up, awake, healthy. As long as I'm healthy and mentally stable, I don't mind working the phones, and getting things done. I want to retire. Would I slow down? Yes, I would like to slow down at some point, and I don't know what that point is. But I keep teasing my shuttle mates in my game every night. They keep beating me, and sometimes they make fun of me. I said, look, you're making fun of a 59, 60-year-old person, and they keep saying, Uncle, no, you really give us a challenge. You really, motivate us to play. So as long as I can motivate, as long as I can, health helps me do things, and I would continue to do that. I think the rest of my next year, 10 or 15 years till I transition business or this thing to my son, I would continue to work as long as I can.
Thank you. The question, I think, from a guest who has not disclosed his name, but I think personally, this is a question for me, and I feel very jealous on this, is what is your work-life balance mantra? I never see you stressed. You're always relaxed. You get time to play. You get time to, do your work. You follow up so well. How do you sort yourself out in your mind, in your daily activity? One spends a whole day with you. You will not, there will not be a moment where you would feel that, oh, SP is stressed, or there's something which is bothering him, or something which concerns him, and you're doing multiple businesses, multiple projects. So all of us really want to hear, especially the youngsters, the work-life balance mantra, and how do we, really ensure that we feel good every moment of our life.
Basically, I don't have a script. I don't script my work every day. Kind of, okay, I'll do this, I'll attend this. So I just take it as it goes. And I attend to it. I ensure that the loop is closed. If you call me and say, hey, SP, I need a COVID bed in one of the hospitals, I just ensure that I close the loop on it. I just don't call you and give a contact number and say you connect with him and you deal with it. So I just don't. I kind of, I enjoy in closing the loops, whether it is in this, whether it's in business. I'm a taskmaster. I tell people who work for me, I said, here is your task. Even if you're a secretary, if you have to get things done through your senior management, you have to pull strings to get it done and report back to me. So that I'm a good taskmaster. Sometimes my people say I kind of push too hard, but that's tough luck. Now, how do I do it? I mean, I enjoy what I do, and I get up every day in the morning, read newspaper, chai. This is something I never miss. That has happened. The best has happened in my life was moving to India, is so that I can have a morning tea with a newspaper, read Hindu and Times of India, and then chat with my wife and answer phone calls. Then do a yoga for an hour or so, then start attending calls, work. And evening, I make it a point to play the game. Whether it's, now I'm playing shuttle, but I used to play volleyball. And every now and then I play cricket. When I have to travel across the globe to watch cricket, I go with my friends who are cricketers, whether it's IPL. So I don't miss any of that. So that keeps you away from some of the stress, by playing, when you meet, when you talk to your friends while playing, so it's all collaborative thing, And the other thing I do is I don't share my problems in life with people, because I can only solve my problems. One of the reasons I don't share my problems, or I request anybody else not to share their problems, is because 90% of the people don't care that you have problems. And the remaining 10%, are glad that you have problems. So why the hell you want to share with them? So I don't make life complex. Live within the means. I don't stretch, whether it's a project. I do a financial planning well, so that I have the right bucket to fund that project. and move forward, not stress myself. So that's how I do my work-life balance. I go with every day, me and my wife on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, every week, we watch Indian Idol for 2 hours, okay? And every Sunday I'll put a music on, I'll listen to all the old songs, and I wanted to become a singer too, but if given a chance, but I do a lot of those things, so my wife keeps saying that don't sing, you have a horrible voice, but I just keep singing, I just do a lot of those things. Last week I watched Ronaldo's games. I watched for straight 4 hours, soccer games, best games that he ever played. So I have those, and some weekdays, weekends, I listen to the greatest speeches in the world. People who speak motivation speeches, pick some stuff from them. Sports commentators, I listen to them. I watch cricket, I watch old games, I watch some of the talks that they give. So these are the things I think we have to do to be engaged in life, because this gives a lot of inspiration. I listen to Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech, a famous speech that he made in Washington, D.C. So I listen to those speeches, and every day I watch one movie. An action movie, a real life story movie, and I pick something from them. The most recent movie that I watched, and I would like to share here, is a movie that was a young girl, 20 years old girl. She had a movie called Walk, Ride, Rodeo. Okay, this was a 20-year-old girl from Utah who actually was a rodeo rider, a barrel rider, and unfortunately, she met in an accident and she paralyzed space below, but she never gave up. So she went back and trained, and she became an all-American rodeo winner in Texas. So at the end of the day, it's the attitude, okay? And what I picked up from that thing is the attitude. And I went back, when I play games, shuttle or volleyball, I shared it with the young guys. Hey, you watch this game. There's a theme to be learned. And when she finished winning it, and she's now still she's a coach, she's now 30 years old, she tells when she won that American title, she said, look, I've started riding and I've started doing rodeo, but the only thing I didn't do is walk. And she said, someday she'll be able to walk. So these are the things, they motivates me. And there's several life stories I'll tell you. A 13-year-old girl who lost her arm while surfing through a shark attack. And within 15 months, she came back and won the All ESPN National Award. So it is the determination. I think one cannot give up just because you have. Look at Srikanth Bolla. He doesn't have eyes, but he's running an enterprise which he now generates 130 crores or 150 crores revenue. So it inspires when you talk to those people. And I always tell youngsters is to talk to successful people. Failure is not a bad thing, okay? You can fail. I mean, I lost money in investing in wrong ventures, but I never went back and did those ventures, Some things line up to you to do the right things. And I always tell people, there's never a right time to do the wrong things. There's never a wrong time to do the right things. So you just keep moving. So that's what motivates me.
There are a lot of questions flowing. I know, can we extend the session by 15 more minutes? There are so many questions which are still flowing. We are already 6. So you let me know when we have to stop, because nobody is leaving the audience.
I'm fine. I can go on.
Okay. So I think from all the people from Cerestra who are unmarried, both boys and girls, they want to have some tips, because it seems you went to Karnataka, convinced a Karnataka girl in an engineering college to marry you. So, before we get back to business, this is something which everybody wants to know, that so many years ago, when there were no girls in engineering college, you go strike gold and come back successful. So why don't you give some tips to these young boys and girls, how to find a good life partner and how to make it happen?
That's an interesting question. None of my friends would ever thought that I would fall in love and have a girlfriend. And I never. But I was shy away. I mean, I used to be shy when it comes to that part of the conversation. So I was in engineering. I was in final year. My wife was in first year at that time. the college elections, I had to go give a speech in her class. So I went and gave a speech. And next thing, my friend met her friend and they met in canteen. And then I liked my wife, and then, we had coffee, and then, I chased her, for several months. She didn't know my name was SP Reddy. She thought I was Venkateshwar Rao or some other name. So she really didn't care. So I literally chased her and convinced her. But anyway, so we fell in love. And then I think it was the second or third date. I just told her I'd like to get married to her, and she didn't respond much. But anyway, so after that, I went to US and we were constantly in touch. And then I came to know in '88 that her father was looking for an alliance. So I dashed back to India and tried to convince her father. And my parents said, you convince him, her parents, if they're okay, then you get married. If they're not, then you take the alternative route and see what you could do. So I was almost there to take an alternative route because he was not getting convinced. But finally, things happened. It's all about, meeting of two minds. And she comes from a small family, and I come from a very big family, and you have to make adjustments. So today, I cannot guide or, the youngsters, to choose a life partner, because every day I see, as Vishal said, those days in engineering college, girl, it was tough. There are not many girls we used to see. So whoever you find, caste free, don't worry about it, but make sure you have the right attitude, and both respect one another. Egos is something that you should not have in marriages, because they have destroyed many people in life. So, and don't hang around for too long, okay, with the boys or the girls, hang around for a year or so and then decide, just get married and move on. That's what I tell you. If you can send me a profiles, that's another thing that I do. I have a list of about 18 or 19 boys and girls, my friends, my relatives, they send their profiles. So I do matchmaking too. So that's another thing that I do well. So that's what I did.
So a lot of questions are pouring in. I have to keep asking you. The next question is fear. What's your biggest fear, and what is? And I'm sorry, people in the audience, if I'm missing the names, because there are so many questions, and I'm trying to remember the names of people who ask, but sometimes I'm just also trying to make sure that we use Mr. Reddy's time the best. So I think the question is about your fears, and what are the main fears you have in life today?
Honestly, I don't have any fears. I just don't fear anything. Okay. My fear is, if at all, if I have to really, it's a very hard. My fear is not delivering product or things that I've promised to deliver. And for that, what are the circumstances? Okay. Mostly it is in your hands. Okay. For you, if I have to deliver something, I have to plan well. Okay. My only fear is not the circumstance. My fear today is the circumstances. For example, COVID, shutdown. How do you deal with it? We have to deal with it. We have no choice. You have to have an open talk with your partners. If you're not able to deliver, you have to discuss with them openly, make some adjustments, and move forward. Honestly, I don't fear anything. I wouldn't say I'm fearless either. I wouldn't say I'm not this thing. So I don't fear for anything. My only fear is if I don't deliver, what next? What will happen to me? Is what I strongly try to protect.
The next question, I think I have to get on to a little bit on the real estate side. There are some technical questions, and so I think there is one question of what can make a residential project successful, and a person who wants to start a residential project and has not much financial resources, what would be your strategy, guidance, advice for him to step into the business of residential businesses?
Yeah, in fact, it's an in the residential side, typically in our country, we have this herd mentality, so everybody, just because we have a piece of land, want to build residential, wants to build commercial space, wants to build retail, wants to build malls, wants to build movie theaters. So I think we need to get away from this herd mentality. We need to think out of the box. What is next? When I said betting on next 10 years for India, one of the verticals I'm going to bet is on the affordable housing. Okay, this is where you need to get into the affordable housing segment and plan well in terms of financial planning, a product that can move easily, that can sell fast. When in terms of people don't have money, people don't have this thing. In Credai, National has appointed me as a chairman of new initiatives. The new initiatives, one of the topics, one of the things that I've done is to create a investment platform to help such people where if you have a project, you have an idea, and you cannot execute it, you need financial help, you need human resource help. So we have started building a platform. In fact, Vishal also helped me in terms of giving some ideas. So those are the things. In the residential, you have to be careful where you pick. Everybody don't follow the what everybody is doing. Think out of the box. Make affordable housing as a segment, and you can only build affordable housing or little higher than that. So that's what you can do. So and real estate is, I would say, is no rocket science. You have to have patience. You have to have financial strength and resources and human resources capable of executing.
So there is a follow-on question on this. If you are a realtor, if you are in Hyderabad, what do you think about commercial real estate? What do you think about real estate in Hyderabad and its future in next 5 years?
See, last 18 months, we saw in the first wave, after the first wave was over, we were back on track. Okay, we were back on track. We were slowly inching towards the growth trajectory and meeting those performance indicators, I would call it. I still feel the demand is still there, but it's going to take time. So we have to be very careful. Now, if you have a space, if you have land and you want to build 30 million square foot, I would rather warn you not to venture into those things, because real estate, all the three segments, whether it is retail, commercial office, or the residential, it's all connected. What creates demand for each of these? Jobs. When you create jobs, what happens? More office space. When more office space, what happens? More residential need. When more residential need happens, then what? It fuels in more commercial retail. So there's a link. So we have to understand this link and ensure that each of us understand this link very carefully and develop in the areas where there's no demand, there's no space for that. So commercial real estate, in my opinion, work from home. There were a lot of pundits around the world during the first wave. Everybody became a pundit and started saying commercial is doomed. Everybody is going to work from home. The world has changed and all that stuff. I don't believe so. Okay, the thinking has changed, but people still want to come to work and come to office and work, because if the global research clearly shows innovations do not happen from remote places. It happens collaboratively. It requires people to meet and exchange the views. So there will be a demand, but the demand is going to be slow now because not many people are thinking of expanding for the next 1 year or taking more space. So we have to be very careful.
Dhananjay, would you like to shoot a question to sir before I ask the next few questions? Dhananjay?
Hi, Vishal. I think let somebody take that opportunity. I keep bothering you many times.
Great. So no, I have a lot of questions, so I will continue. So another question from Gaurav. He's a young boy of 24 years old. And his question to you, Reddy sir, is what are the three things as a young boy of 24 years, chartered accountant, which he should follow and keep with him as he moves up the career chain?
Gaurav, what I always tell my auditor also is I want him to be the big five or big three. Okay. So why should we still have, there are global firms like Deloitte has a accounting KPMG. Why can't you be? So you keep asking yourself, why can't you be? So in order for you to become those big three in India, you need to have focus. You need to build a very good team, a team of trustworthy people who follow the ethical standards. Today, that is very important in your practice. So ethical standards are very important. Okay, so you could become the top three. You could become the KPMG of India. You could become the Deloittes of India in terms of accounting practice. So you need to focus on that. So as young as you are is to basically, build the team around you and give them the trust, make them part of your company. Okay, so having them part of your company means giving part of your company, part of your wealth, sharing your wealth. You encourage them. Hey, look, if you are all successful, I'll ensure that you are successful, your family is successful. So you need to create some stickiness in your company, certain processes. So I would say, aim big, and you could be one of those companies.
Yeah, so I'll ask you the last three questions because I know I've taken a lot of your time. When did you feel successful, sir? When did you feel now I have arrived and I am a successful man?
I think it was in 2000, when I think it was 98 when I first made my $1 million. And 2001, I felt again successful because when I failed in a edgesupply.com company, I thought of, hey, how could one burn $18 million in bloody 18 months or 15 months? So I learned, when I say failure also teaches you success, I strongly believe in that and what not to do. So now, was the money the factor that made you successful? No. I felt successful in Atlanta when I started getting involved socially in the business communities, when people started recognizing me, who I am, what I do for a living. And when people came to me and said, man, you are a hardworking guy. I would love to invest with you. Let's go invest in hotels. You find hotels for us. So those are the things where, I felt early on that that I was successful. No, and my partner always said, making the first $1 million is a tough thing. Then after, you don't have to go back. Money keeps making money, So that's what I strongly believe. And I also tell youngsters is do business with your money. Part of your money also has to be invested. Your money you cannot be just pure sweat. Okay. You have to, maza jab aata hai jab apne paise dalte ho. So that's what I strongly believe in. Money makes money. So that's what I continue to enjoy. I don't count how much I'm making. I don't count what my net worth is, other than Dhananjay asking me now and then for bankers.
Sure. So second last question, sir. COVID and mankind. How do you think COVID will impact the mankind? And once COVID goes away, what changes in behavior of mankind, and how will it leave a mark on the mankind? What do you think about that?
COVID, as I watched, I'm sure a lot of you have friends and relatives who got affected. Some of you lost. I know so many people in the last 2 months, as of today. In fact, while I was coming to this, I just got one patient admitted in Sunshine Hospital. There are about 126 people that I admitted so far, okay, of which, as I said, 12 people didn't make it, and then one is critical. This thing has touched everybody's life, and I could not imagine you will see a global shutdown, but as a country, India has done extremely well in the first wave. Second wave, we were caught off guard. However, we're still struggling with terms. Many people lost families. And even Vishal, you one of your cousins, he couldn't make it because he couldn't get an ICU bed. So we kind of learned. I learned a lot. Saying that you never take things easy in life. So there were times when I felt that I should have my own ventilator, my own oxygen tank, my own stuff. So what did it teach in this COVID? Money meant nothing. They were millionaires, billionaires who could not get beds, who could not get ICU beds. They were begging for ventilators. They were begging to get airlifted from one place. So what taught all of us is money is not what you can buy. You cannot buy everything with money. Okay, and there used to be a saying, but we never believed it. But this situation has taught us a lot. Okay, but what I also see is, I feel there's a shift in human behavior. There will be a shift in human behavior. On a lighter note, I met a friend of mine the other day who has the convention center, manages a big guy. And I told him, man, your business is done. Not many people are going to do those Indian big fat weddings, So people started thinking small. I feel, materialistic things that we were focusing on probably, in my opinion, will start shrinking in. But I also see a great opportunity, in as I said, I would bet on this country, So why would I bet on this country? As I said, in 2006, where China was, we are there today. Okay. And with such a huge population, if you could see the growth, household income from 2005 to 2018-19, how India has grown, how there was only 1 million people in 1% in the higher income group in 2005. Now today we have close to 8 million people. And by 2030, they're expecting 29 million people in the high income group. And then in the second upper middle class, 16 million people. Today we have 61 million or 70 million, and we are expected to, be 168 million. Then you have lower middle class. So everybody is growing up the chain. Okay, so why is it happening? So because new things are coming. Okay, people are thinking. There's so many entrepreneurs, so many people talk about ideas, whether it's good, bad, but at least they're thinking. And I'll tell you, the next 10 years, India will have more startups than anywhere in the world. And today also we see unicorns. Why is dollar and Indian rupee stable today? Because of the unicorns. I mean, you look at the influx of dollars that are coming into this country. Now, where do we see the growth? I strongly feel, the IT, pharma, startups, several startups in several areas, but it's particularly in real estate, and even in healthcare, you will have at pharma. But real estate, I learned recently that there's a huge demand for student housing. Okay, that's something my friend opened my eyes one day when he started talking about beds, revenue per beds. I said, for me as a hotelier, a bed is a hotel room. For him, it is 5 people living in one room and generating revenue for him. So student housing, affordable housing is going to be a huge opportunity. Rented factories is something I learned recently, where you build factories where you can ready-madely rent it to them. And in fact, I'm involved with a venture with Vishal where we're building incubation center for pharmaceutical startup in the biospace. So warehousing. So there are several growth opportunities that I see coming up. So if you look at in the last 60 years, it took us to get $1 trillion. Today, India is about 2.9 trillion. We are far away from where China is, but I still feel that, for the next 10 years, we have a huge opportunity. And COVID has taught us a lot. As I said, you care for life, care for others. When you help others, it is very satisfactory. When you help him get a bed, it is so satisfactory. When you help him get a ventilator, when he gets out and get discharged, you're so happy. So I have all those statistics with me. and it has really, it was draining on many days because people used to, beg me for a bed, and people were looked at hospitals as transit hospitals. I used to put them in a hospital one night which had least infrastructure, medical infrastructure, and then move them to another good hospital. So it has taught us a lot. I lost a very good fabricator who was with me, who has been working with me, a young 43-year-old Muslim. And it was very unfortunate. We tried to save him, he couldn't make it. And we lost another friend who used to work for Anorak, and we couldn't make it. We could do many things. We did so many things. We had a ventilator reserved. I bought a ventilator for him. I also got a ECMO machine for him. So, I also feel that, this COVID has taught us, not to abuse the nature. I think we have abused the nature quite a bit. So I think in today's world, we have to be very conscious about not to abuse the nature. And, so those are the things that I think, I have learned through COVID,
Last not the least, sir, politics. I have multiple questions from you, but unfortunately, we have exceeded time. It's almost going to be 6:30, and this is the last question we can afford. Is what do you think? Do we see Mr. Reddy in politics? And what do you think about the federal central conflicts over the next 10 years? Punjab versus central, now Bengal versus central. How do you see the Indian politics shaping up, and what role Mr. S.P. Reddy sees for him in the political system of India?
Well, do I say politics is in my blood? It's not in my blood, but I love politics.
So did I put a bouncer on you?
Yeah. I know how to take a bouncer, so I'm a cricketer. So politics. In fact, for all of the things that where I see the next 10 years, not though emotionally and I'm attached, I am for a particular national party, or a state party. For the next 10 years for India to grow, I don't see any other government than the present government, because we need a stable government. We cannot have a khichdi government in the next 10 years for India to be successful. I see a lot of conflicts between the federal and state governments. I cannot point finger who is at fault, but I think there has to be a uniform structure across the country in terms of certain parameters. The federal government has power on all of those things, but I think having a healthy state and federal central government relationship is very, very critical. We cannot afford to have these continued conflicts. And I strongly believe that we need to have this one nation, one election kind of stuff that has to come for us to, for the government to focus more on governance, okay, rather than these things, because you can get things, all of those things can be done in one go. And then, and so that period is over, because if every 3 months, 4 months, you turn around, you see an election and there is no progress happening. So I think we all have to root for one nation, one election. I had an opportunity in 2009 to run for an election. My friends used to tell me, my great friend Guru Rajesh Pilot used to always tell me to come and run. But unfortunately, things didn't work out. But I do see myself someday, if God willingly, I will definitely run for an office, whether it's in 2024. I hopefully by then I am still young, to run. And I think I can do justice. I have capabilities. I can deliver stuff. I can do things. I think that's one thing. If I could achieve that with help with friends like you, we can certainly, be an impact on the society. and do justice to your constituent and justice to your nation and to your state. So I am for it. So let me see when that would be, and you traveled with me many times. You saw me, you saw people coming to me and taking photographs, and you know why. So I'll enjoy that as long as our Prime Minister is popular. I'll enjoy the day. He's not, I will take my beard off. So
yeah. So indeed, I have got some of the photographs with you. People suddenly feel that I've become very close to Modi and I travel only with Mr. Modi. So, and they feel surprised when I tell him, no, he's my friend and not Mr. Modi. So great. Thank you, sir. I will let my colleague and another fan of yours, Milind, to do a small short Thanksgiving. It was a great session. I hope everybody enjoyed it. We will get a recording put on the YouTube. So in next few days or few weeks. And it was really heartwarming to have this chat with you. And thanks for being so candid and thanks for being with us for such a long time. Milind, over to you.
Thank you so much, Vishal. Thank you so much, SV sir, for coming in today, giving your time. It was indeed stimulating and inspiring, the journey, the words, whatever you said. And I'm sure that whoever was listening to you today, they will get inspired. And we already have been inspired by you. So thank you so much, sir. And we look forward to hear from you continuously, see what you're doing and see your achievements, see your success. And thanks so much for coming today, sir. Thanks a lot. Thank you, Vishal.
Thank you, Vishal. Thanks, everybody, for attending. Hope you guys got some tips. Okay, I'll be glad to help you. I'll be glad to mentor. I'll be glad to learn from you guys also. Every time I meet Vishal, I keep learning new things from him, new ventures from him. So life is all about learning. Okay, you're still, there's so much to learn in life. So I wish each and every one of you the very best, young, those who are dating, get married soon. Those who are aspiring to become an entrepreneur, go for it. Okay, never shy away from failures. Thank you very much.